Good evening. All right. So we have another vineyard parable tonight. And there's a couple of running themes that'll happen between last night, tonight, and tomorrow. Last night I referenced somebody named Francisco. And tonight I'm referencing another Francis, a different Francis. Now this Francis was named after Francis Xavier. It was the name of the parish his father Clark had attended and was eventually waked and buried from. Now, Clark and Ellen raised a moderate-sized family back in the day. 2 boys, 4 girls. So a pretty good size, right? Their second son, Francis, recalled to me struggles the family had growing up. They were poor, very, very poor, but they managed. In the midst of their struggles, to hold the family together, they at one point had to beg for food. Francis told me that one time it got so bad that Ellen walked to the church with all the children in tow, 2 boys, 4 girls, to ask for some food to eat. And they were refused for various reasons, because of things of being available or not available. But as a young child, that made Francis very angry, which is understandable as well. But it was because of events like that that made Francis the man who he is today. And though he would not ever refer to himself as this, it's the label I give to him: a woodcutter. Francis is a woodcutter. Here is a person who learned through struggles what it means to work hard, to own something, what it means to care for his sisters, what it means to care for his own children. He does things intentionally to cut corners in his life. Fills the tank when the gas price is lower. We can all relate to that, right? We wait for it to drop. We might drive across the bridge, fill up the tank, right? Turns out the lights when nobody is in a room. How many people do that? How many people turn off that light when you enter the room or leave the room, right? Yeah. He keeps the heat low in the winter, but he doesn't even have air conditioning in the summer. It seems like he's a little frugal, right? He had gardened for many years to grow vegetables that he still gives to his family every year. And to supplement the heat in the winter, he chops wood. He hauls wood. He stacks wood in the spring, in the summer, in the fall. Francis is a woodcutter at heart. And what does he do with the pennies he saves? A few dollars to this cause, a few dollars to that cause. Make-A-Wish, firefighters, veterans. He does that. He writes a little check for $2, $3, sends it to the oblates here at the shrine. He does. When food is on sale, he buys extra, and because of his experience, he gives it to families, and he donates the food to shelters because he remembers what it was like for himself to need food when he was growing up. He does all this, and he doesn't make it known. And all these things come to mind because one day I saw him chopping wood. So Francis is a woodcutter to me. And people who cut wood know what it's like to put sweat into labor. They know what it's like to work hard. So when Solomon sends the message to Hiram to build a house for God, all I can think of was, wow, that's a lot of wood. That's a huge amount of wood. It's true. It's a lot of sweat. It's a lot of aches. It's a lot of pains. And at the same time, a lot of commitment to the task at hand. And why? Ultimately, why was that done for Solomon? For God and for the people, so they had a place to worship. And in return, Solomon provided food in the form of wheat and oil, so Hiram could provide for his household. Hiram was a woodcutter and did it to provide for his family. But there's a certain commitment that needs to be built into a person that cuts wood, right? There's a certain need to remain committed, to remain in love with the project at hand. And this is true whether the project is a small task, a large task, a relationship with someone, a family member. Tonight's theme of healing and hope within families for this novena is a reality that we can all relate to. We all have some type of family somewhere. We are here to pray for families, especially people in your family who struggle with each other. The ability to overcome the struggle starts with you, with your resolution, with your commitment to be the woodcutter of your family, or if you like, a vine grower. Because the image of the vine and the vine grower implies something similar: commitment to the task at hand, the ability to tend it, yet let it grow, see what happens, let go of control a little bit. Family struggles are real, and it's important to know that many families experience both joy and suffering. Many are ashamed or frustrated with the actions that family members find themselves in. I know because I do, right? I have a family, and I pray for my family. I pray for the ability to not give hope on family members that are in and out of jail. I pray for my own family who has moved so far away from God and from the church. All I can do is hope that one day they'll return. Something that many parents think about when they think of their children today. And just like the woodcutter or the vine grower needs to be committed to the task at hand, I cannot pray for my family if I don't remain in the love of Jesus and all that that entails. We have to pray for our families, but we also have to be committed to forgiveness the same way the woodcutter is committed to chopping that wood so it fits in the wood stove in the winter. In order to pray, in order to love, in order to forgive, it requires that we abide or remain in the love of Jesus. And just as no branch on the vine can exist on its own, no family member can be considered family if they are left out on their own. The family unit must bear fruit together. But fruit is fragile and can be bruised easily. We can tend it and grow it and take care of it for years, but one event can cause bruises that last an entire lifetime. And we simply can't hope that a reconnection with the family will happen, but we also have to provide for a means for that to happen. We have to be the fuel that makes reconciliation in families ignite. We have to be humble and express to each other the ability to love without limits, to be able to express the idea that we would lay down our lives for each other the same way Jesus would lay down his life for us and did lay down his life for us. And if you are a parent, you know what it means to love, but you also know what it means to be worried for a child. And just as you may love your child or your parents or your siblings, Jesus loves you. Jesus chose you. Jesus appointed you to bring that family member to love here tonight, right now. This is my commandment, Jesus says, love one another. No matter how bad things might seem, we can be agents of change within our own families. We can be that. We can reach out in words or actions and give a witness to each other. And why? Because we are loved. We are loved enough that Christ died for us. And if you believe that, I will be committed to the task of hand and be committed to changing my family. It will happen. We will be committed to working hard and laboring to show our families that we are loved by Christ. And because of that unconditional love, we have no choice but to swallow our own pride, humble ourselves, and love the family members who may have disappointed us in our past. To create that glimmer of hope in our family needs to always be there. And maybe that's the starting point. Just simple hope in this novena of healing and hope. Can we at least start there? Can we at least start by showing others that we hope there can be reconciliation and healing within our families? Can you look at the family member who has disappointed you or even hurt you, or another member of your family, and express hope that God can heal that wound? That God can take the bruises we experience and turn them into something positive. Just like Francis turned that bruise of being refused food into the quiet mission of making sure his family was always provided for. Just like his struggle growing up and having to quit high school to work in order to put food on the table, God turned this man into a woodcutter who is committed to even reaching out beyond his family and provides food to others who struggle. And I admire that in him. It makes me want to be more like him. I am fortunate enough to know this man, a man like that, who has helped me overcome my own struggles by praying for me and never giving up on me. You see, Francis is not some fictional character with generic family struggles. The woodcutter my family members that I referenced are also his family members. The woodcutter that teaches me to this day what it's like to struggle and worry for a family is my dad. Yes, and you may have guessed it earlier. Francis is my dad, and my father is a woodcutter. Who are you in your family? Who are you to your family? Is Jesus part of that? Do we abide in his love and remain committed to his command to love each other? The task of providing all the cedar wood to Solomon must have looked like an impossible task at first to Hiram. But it was possible because he remained committed to it, just like God remains committed to us. So don't stop tending the vine. Don't stop chopping the wood. Don't stop giving up hope on your families. Don't stop praying for them, because with the help of God, as I said last night, all things are possible. You got to believe that. So keep your families in your prayer tonight. And you were all given a seed on the way in, right? You might want to get that seed out, because it's a way for you to symbolically take a family member and perhaps plant something. Plant a seed of hope or a seed of love for that person in your family that really needs your prayers tonight. And somebody will explain the logistics of that in just a minute. But just keep them in prayer and pray for them. Pray for that hope.